We did it. We're live. Oh my gosh, Kristie, we did it. We figured it out. We're live. Hey, for those of you watching, have you had some success on keto but started to regain weight? Have you fallen off keto completely and are at a higher weight than you started? And do you worry that you'll never be able to lose the weight and keep it off? Well, guess what? You're in the right place. This is the show for you. So hang tight. We're going to give you lots and lots of information today. But so welcome everyone to Keto Chat Live. I'm your host, Carol Freeman. I am a board certified keto nutrition specialist. And you guys, today, do you know who we have? Our special guest co-host today, Kristie Honeycutt Sullivan. Dr. Kristie, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I wanted to share my kitchen.
Yes. I just had a little chuckle today because as I was writing your name, I had never really paid attention to the irony that, your, I'm assuming your maiden name is Honeycutt. Has the word honey in it.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a hard name to have growing up as a kid.
Oh, really? I mean, kids find ways of making fun of anybody's name, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, we've got people watching live. So this is an interactive show. So please feel free to comment and join in. And I can see that there are people watching, but I can't see who they are exactly until you actually comment. So feel free, comment. We're going to, you're here interacting in the show. So welcome. So Kristie, welcome to the show. This is your first time, special guest co-host. Yeah. Just for fun, I put the guest co-host on the spot and make them read the medical disclaimer. So are you game?
I'm game. I got this. Okay.
We got
ready?
Leanne Evans. Hi, Leanne. And we've got Trisha Hunshimmer. Welcome.
Hi, Trish.
Valerie's a regular. Hi, Valerie. All right.
Hey, guys. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Yes.
This show is meant for educational entertainment purposes only. It is not medical advice, nor intended to diagnose, treat, cure any conditions. If you have any medical condition, illness, disease, or are taking any medications, please ask a medical professional. And seriously, if you do have questions or concerns related to your specific medical conditions, please contact your medical professional, which ain't us.
Yeah, yay!
Okay.
You gold star. You did great. Thank you so much for doing that. So we've got Sharon in Ontario. Yeah, tell us where you're joining from. We've got Mary. Hello, Mary. Donna. I'm not even going to try that last name. Donna, hi. Welcome, everyone. Just starting out with a little quiz for everyone, just for fun. This is a true or false, so give us a T or an F in the comments. The quiz question, 95% of diets fail, including keto. True or false? Go ahead and just for fun, join us in the comments there. Peggy, hello, Peggy. I'm guessing we've got a lot of Kristie fans that are here today. Are these people you recognize?
These are my people. Yeah. We cooked together this afternoon.
Oh, that's so great. We've got Pam from Michigan and Donna from Missouri. Is it Missouri? Is that insulting if I try to pretend like I know how to say that accent? All right, we're getting lots of T's in here. True. I think we have all those trues. We'll hang tight and we'll actually answer that in our teaching segment here. So we've got Pam from Florida. Oh, what's this adorable little puppy's name?
This is Banjo. Banjo is joining us. Yeah, this is Banjo, and Winston is right here at my leg. Yeah, they have to do their little cameo thing. So
wonderful, awesome. Winston, I've heard of, but Banjo, is Banjo new?
No, Banjo's our old guy. Banjo is he's a yapper. He's so funny. He's usually very shy, but he is right up here.
Yeah, his face. He's adorable. Oh, hi, Banjo. Hi, Banjo.
His
What's
ears.
Up,
if he'll do that, there he goes. One ear is always down and one ear is always up. So anyway, so sorry about that. He just came up here, was let me get in your lap. But,
I bet it's because he normally can't be on camera when you're cooking. So he's like, it's my turn. You guys got finished with that. So got Mary in Maryland and Linda from South
Linda.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Excellent. Love it. Love it. Keep interacting, everybody. We love that you're here. So, so next up, we're just like a personal check-in part of the show before we get to the topic. So today's topic, the show today is going to be about, my teaching segment is going to be about part 1 of a 3-part series I'm doing about how to lose weight and actually keep it off on keto specific. But before we get into that, I'm going to share a little bit, and then I'm going to have Kristie share a little bit. I know a lot of you know her, but also there's going to be other people that don't know who she is. So I'm going to have her share a little bit more about who she is and her keto story and all that. But I'm so excited because podcast here, Keto Chat Live, which you're watching, listening to right now. We've been slowly moving up the charts each week. And those of you that are regular viewers, listeners know that we've been charting in Greece in the nutrition category, which I just love the synergy of a high-fat keto or, you know, a diet that's rumored to be high in fat is trending in Greece. I love that. We love our Greek viewers, listeners, and we're currently ranked 59 out of all the podcasts in Greece and nutrition. So that's exciting. And this week I got notified that we have a brand new chart that we're on in nutrition in a different location, a different country, and it's even higher than what we've been charting in Greece. And so I'm just going to tease that and let you all make guesses about which country that we're newly charting. This show is charting there. So throw out your guesses of which country, and I'll reveal it later. But now I want to chat with Kristie a little more here. Let's get to know our guest co-host for those of you that don't know Cooking Keto with Kristie. So who the heck are you, lady? Why did I want you on here?
I don't know. Who the heck am I? So, you know, it's so interesting because I get asked this question a lot. Let me put banjo down. One of the things that it's so interesting because, you know, before I retired from higher ed and people said, hey, what do you do or who are you? That was easy to answer. Like, oh, I'm Tina Planning and Research, and I have a PhD in ed research and policy analysis. Yeah. But nowadays, like the worst question, the question I hate is when I meet new people who don't know who I am and they ask, what do you do? It's such a hard question. And I mean, it really is, because what do I do? And I mean, I create recipes, I write books, but more than anything, I think this is my title. See what you think about this, Carol, because
Okay.
you know me, and you know my story.
Yeah.
I'm the fat girl.
Oh.
I mean, no, really. Let's think about that. I am the fat girl. It is my history. It is my story. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all. But that is my identity. And that is who I am and why I do what I do. And the reason I say fat girl, I'm not calling myself fat. Like I said, I don't mean it in a derogatory way at all. But it is that experience that I bring to try to help other people. You know, I've struggled with weight since I was 3 years old. And your topic tonight so resonates with me. I mean, you asked the question, true or false. 95% of people, you know, struggle with weight gain. And it's so absolutely true. I mean, I've probably lost, you know, 800 pounds in my lifetime because you lose it and you gain it and you lose it and you gain it. And why is that? And I know you're going to talk about that from your perspective. But it's not because anybody wants to be overweight. I mean, the hardest thing I've ever been in my life is overweight. But when I say I'm the fat girl, a lot of what I do in helping other people now, it is because of my experiences, because of what I've been through. And, you know, it's one thing for a skinny expert to tell you, and you have a story too, you know, but it's one thing for a skinny expert to tell you, you know, there are all these people in this space and medical professionals and whomever who, you know, they'll say, I lost a ton of weight. I lost 30 pounds. Girlfriend, that is not a ton of weight. Like those of us who have been overweight or obese, 30 pounds? Like, really? Are you kidding me? And to me, there's no street credential there. There's no street cred. If you really want to talk to somebody about the struggle with being overweight or obese, let's talk about, needing to lose 50, 60, 75, 100 plus pounds. That's where I think it becomes a chronic issue, a chronic concern. It's not vanity weight. It truly is their underlying conditions. And so a lot of the work I do now, when I say work, a lot of what I do is framed by those experiences. If you don't know me, I been overweight my entire life, found keto, lost about 100, 120 pounds, started a YouTube channel to help people, not because I ever was thinking I'd like to be a YouTube star. Like that was never it. I started teaching classes for free. People couldn't be there. So I started doing videos, and all of a sudden strangers started following me. And this was really before it was kind of a thing to do keto or even have YouTube. And then, people begged me to do a book. They're like, hey, your YouTube channel is great, but we want a recipe. I had 30,000 followers at the time, which was not very many looking back, but I did a book. Book went number 1 on Amazon. I had publishers calling me, 3 publishers. I'm working a full-time job. I'm sitting in a meeting, trying to conduct this meeting. I've got publishers calling. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm busy. I'm a mom. And so 5 books later, I've done 5 books. I finally left that full-time job and working on a 6th book. And now I just started a cooking community because I am convinced that a big part of this, especially the sustainability and the long-term success, is learning how to be different, right?
Yes.
Learning how to cook, figuring out the food. And I've been on a diet and deprived and hungry all of my life. And you don't have to be deprived and hungry, but you have to learn how to do that. And it is a huge, huge shift. And girlfriend, I could talk about all that. In fact, I've got an example I want to share with you later. But I could talk about it all the time because I think our biggest enemy and one of the biggest struggles for sustainability is making it fit in our very, very, very busy lifestyle. And we're convinced that we don't have the time or the resources to do it. So anyway, so when I say I'm the fat girl, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, that is who I am in terms of being able to help and frame my experience to help other people.
I love it. Kathy's saying that is so inspirational. So true. So true. That's perfect, Kristie. You said, I don't know how to explain who I am, but actually it's longer than just a short title, but it was perfect. Yeah, love it. We've got some people making some guesses about, so I did a teaser for those of you just joining about where Keto Chat Live is our newest chart topping location. So we've got guesses for Australia, UK, and Germany. However, nobody's got it yet, so keep guessing. I will reveal it later in the show if nobody gets it, so keep guessing. We're number 19 in nutrition in this country. Like I said, we've been trending in Greece, currently charting at number 59 in Greece in all nutrition podcasts there. And this new location, we're number 19 in nutrition podcasts in this country. So I'll just give it at that. We've got some more guesses of Tricia says Italy, so does Sharon. Kathy's France and Belgium. Good guesses. We're not there yet. So, Susan's here from Chicago. Welcome, Susan. So glad you made it. Excellent. So just as for those of you that are regular viewers here, know that I always like to give just a little bit of one of my client success stories, just because I know how inspirational it is for people to hear other people that are being successful. I send a newsletter out every single week, and I've got a bunch of different categories, and I track which ones that people click on. And by far and away, like 2 to 3 times all the other content that I've got on there, people click on the success stories. So I know people love it. I know early in my journey, that was something that I really like. I want to read about people that are succeeding because it gives me hope that it can as well. So I just wanted to share, my client Holly has been with me about 7 weeks now. And she's somebody that I'm working one-on-one with. Most of my clients I work with in a group setting, but once in a while I've got somebody that works with me at a more intimate level. And so it's really, I love it because she's brand new to keto and, 7 weeks in of working with me. And yesterday she was wondering like, am I losing weight fast enough? Is there something we could do to make it faster? I'm not sure if this is normal or not, but in 7 weeks, she's lost 22 pounds. And so Kristie will know that, nope, Holly, you're doing fantastic. I had to tell her, like, in fact, that's like, greater weight loss speed than average. And so, and actually there's some detriment to trying to speed it up as far as like slowing your metabolism down even more. So I told her, we're not going to change anything. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fantastic. And also like acknowledging, I'm sure you've seen this, Kristie, where once people find how effective keto is, they want all the weight off overnight, right? And they also assume that everyone else is losing 30 pounds a day. So why isn't it happening faster for me? And part of the theme of the show today is going to be about, we really need to embrace that, that it takes a long-term approach to fix a lifelong weight issue. You shared, Kristie, about how you've been overweight since you were 3 years old, and this isn't just going to go away for any of us. And we have to lean into and accept the fact that a long-term fix means we have to make a long-term change. So Holly's doing great. And also I'm helping her move through that mindset of like, this is not a quick fix. Got to buckle in and enjoy it for the long term. So
yeah, congratulations, Holly. That is fantastic.
Yeah, we're getting some wows from Donna and Kathy. Thanks for cheering for her success. I love that. I remember, so I know sometimes people get jealous when they hear of people having success, right? If they're struggling, and then they'll say things like, oh man, I hate her for that. Like, it's so easy for her, things like that. And I love to take the outlook that I learned from, I think it's Gabrielle Bernstein. She shared in one of her books about how she was struggling with infertility, and how every time she saw a mom with a baby, she got angry and upset and felt like that's so unfair. Why can't I have that as well? Until she made a shift, and she decided that when she saw a mom with a baby, that she would take that as a sign and a symbol that that was coming for her as well. So that way she could embrace and celebrate the success that somebody else has had, and then use it to make her feel good, and leaning into gratitude as well. So that's, so I love seeing the people that are, saying how awesome it is. Anita's saying awesome as well. So celebrate everyone else's success, and take it as a sign that that's coming for you as well too. So, do you see that?
Absolutely.
Overnight, like, I want it all fixed. I don't want to be this a problem anymore.
I do. And I actually wrote in my Facebook group about Susie Sunshine, because it's one of those things, comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
And like, we feel like we're doing pretty well, right? We get a new car and we're happy driving our little Honda Accord. And then, the guy next door gets a new Tesla or new, Porsche, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, mine doesn't look so good anymore.
Yeah.
But I think that there's so many things to have to remember, especially with weight loss. Like, you don't know if that person's doing it healthy. You don't know how much weight that person had to lose. I mean, there's so many factors. Some people, age is a huge factor. Hormones are a huge factor. Some people have thyroid issues. Like, it's your pace, it's your body. And, I had Banjo, my little dog, up on my lap just a little bit ago. Banjo is 10 pounds. He's a Morkie. He's a cross between a Maltese and a Yorkshire Terrierist. And I'm not terrorist. And he's 10 pounds. And you take Banjo to the vet, and I swear to you, ever since we've ever had Banjo, you fix his food and he eats what he wants. And if he's not hungry, he doesn't eat. And you can leave his food out 24 hours a day, and he will eat when he wants to eat. Then we've got Winston. And if you follow me on social media at all, you have seen Winston. Winston has never met a morsel of food that he does not want to devour immediately. He is my soul dog.
Okay.
He is always hungry. And you cannot put any food out. Like, Winston, swear to you, 3 weeks ago, Winston crawled up on our table. How he got up here, we have no idea.
I remember seeing the story on Facebook.
Yes, he ate 1.5 pork tenderloins that were left. The whole tenderloin. And we didn't know he had eaten it, so we fed him dinner. And when he came in, he finished what Banjo hadn't eaten. And so here are these two dogs. One's always hungry. One just, eats to hunger. We take them to the vet, and we get from the vet, oh, Banjo's the perfect size. He's just the perfect weight. And the vet's so proud of him. And Winston, on the other hand, they're like, this dog is 40 pounds overweight. The vet wanted us to drive him to Raleigh, an hour and a half, put him on a treadmill in a pool
Oh my
so that he
gosh.
can exercise. Like, and we did.
Oh,
Yes, yes. And they wanted us to put Winston on a diet. And I was like, oh my gosh, but it's so true. And then you have to remember, okay, Winston's 110 pounds. Kathy, Winston is my alter ego too. But Winston, they're built differently. They are different critters, and you cannot compare the two. And I always think about that. There's sleek greyhounds, and then there's Winston. There are the springers that are chubbier. And even think about trees. You've got really graceful, tall pine trees, right? And then you've got short, squat, scrubby oaks. I mean, there's a very different thing in the way that we're made. And I think that's one of the hardest things to accept. I mean, yeah, you can lose weight and you can change your body composition, but, and this is hard for me, I am 5'0". I don't care how tall I want to be. Without heels, I am always going to be 5'0". And I can hate that. I can hate my body. I can resent it. I can look at, people who are 5'7" and 5'2" and legs for days, and I can be jealous. But where is that going to get me?
right. Just unhappiness. Yeah.
Exactly.
So great.
Sorry, I took us a little bit of a
No, I love it. Perfect. I told her before the show that please take me on meandering stories, interrupt. The fun of this show is actually, the interaction between the two of us. We're going to deliver lots of goodies and information and things that are really helpful, but also this is about relationship, us interacting and everyone else here watching the show as well too. And I see, so those of you just joining, I see other people are guessing. So we have a little teaser going right now. People are guessing which country is Keto Chat Live, this podcast, currently number 19 in nutrition podcasts. So nobody's got it yet. So we've got a lot of Canada guesses here from both Mary and Lisa. Lisa also guessed Iceland, Philippines, Guam. Good guesses. Nobody's got it yet. So we'll keep it open until somebody gets it. Finland is another guess Kathy had. I don't know how many countries there are in the world, but we may we've got Russia, Japan, and Norway. Good guesses. Keep going. Nobody's got it yet.
Mexico.
It's not Mexico either.
Not Mexico.
I even made sure. So Kristie and I actually behind the scenes have a shared document that we're for the outline for notes. But I decided I didn't put the answer in there, so she wouldn't even know. So she doesn't even know what it is.
No, I don't know. She won't tell me.
Yeah.
But I do think, going back to that comparison thing, I have seen people who have given up because they say, and this kills me, I've only lost 10 pounds in the past month, and so I'm just giving up. And I want to just reach through the screen and just shake them and say, okay, how much weight would you have lost if you hadn't been doing this? Let's think back, girlfriend, to what you were doing before you started doing this. Maybe this isn't fast enough, but if you get back to eating garbage, what happens? How much weight are you going to lose then? Yeah. I mean, there's that little bit of a reality thing. What's in their psyche? What is that mindset that says, I'm not losing fast enough, so I'm going to give up? It's I'm not making money fast enough, so I'm going to quit my job. Well, how much money are you going to get paid then? Help me. Why is that? What's the rationale?
So true. Yeah. And I often even take that one step further and tell them, if you weren't doing this, how much weight would you have gained in the same amount of time? So not only the 10 pounds, but you also can discount the weight you didn't gain as well. So maybe that's equivalent of 15 pounds net loss. So Kathy's got a wish that the medical community would realize the benefits of keto. We're slowly getting there, but you're right. It takes 50 to 100 years to turn a cruise ship around that's been going the wrong direction for 50 years. And we're seeing more of it changing, but it's very slow. You're right. So, all right. Well, should we get into the meat of the topic? I mean, we're all talking about the topic, but my official outline of what I had part 1 of 3 today, everyone. Thanks for being here for how to lose weight and keep it off on keto. Now, just a little bit of background about like why this topic, how I came to research this topic and what I'm going to share with you today. And for those of you that don't know me, I have an undergrad in nutrition. I have a master's degree in nutrition and in clinical health psychology. I'm also trained in clinical hypnotherapy. I've been doing keto myself for more than 6.5 years, and also then doing that clinically with my clients virtually all over the world for about 6 years now. And I'm really, really passionate about the intersection of doing nutrition in a way that addresses the psychology of cravings, appetite regulation, and long-term behavior change. So that's where I nerd out and I love, and I'm always researching how is it that I can better help my clients get the results that they want, both short-term, but also make those sustainable ones. So that's just a little short story of my background a little bit and where my sparkly specialty is there. So keep making the guesses, you all. You all are getting good guesses, but nobody's got it yet. So keep going. I'll let you keep throwing in there because I love the interaction here. But so like I said, I've been helping my clients for over 6 years now. And I noticed patterns in the people that were actually be able to be successful long-term, right? So like Kristie said up top of this show, that part of this is learning to be different than everybody else. So also like what Kathy said about how she wishes the medical community would realize the benefits of keto. We're still living in a society where most people think that keto is weird. It's a fad. It's, there's even a lot of articles you can find about how it's not healthy for you and it's dangerous and all of these garbage myths. So we are, we're odd ducks in a lot of sense. And so I noticed the people that were able to be long-term successful of my clients, they had specific things in common. The ones that, but I also found that the ones that didn't get the long-term support, most of them would fall off the wagon. And I never want that for anyone. And so, and then they would often reach out to me a year or two later, really embarrassed that they'd gained the weight back and more, and they'd fallen off keto, but they'd had such good results with it. They felt so good. They enjoyed the food so much that they wanted to be able to get back on track. So that's one of the things I've noticed in the 6+ years of doing this myself. And then over the last couple of years, I've started to notice that, so keto kind of came like, there was a big wave of maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Kristie, is that kind of like when it started to get hugely popular? And I've noticed over the last couple of years that there's, specific keto influencers that are on Instagram and on YouTube. They're starting to come forward and kind of confessing that things are slipping for them. They're starting to regain the weight. And so to answer the quiz earlier, 95% of diets fail, including keto. Unfortunately, it is true. I don't want to make everybody feel like, well, we might as well just give up now. I'm here to actually share, like, you can succeed, right? You can be a 5%er, but it means you've got to have some very specific strategies in place and support in order to make it last. So let's see. Linda says, great. How doing we stop the thinking that we are missing the food or a taste, not craving. So I know that's Kristie's expertise, is helping you tasty keto that helps you maintain your lifestyle too, so you don't have to feel deprived. Thailand, Sweden, Turkey, Chile, India, good guesses. Switzerland, not there yet. So keep going, everybody. How many countries are in the world? I don't know, but 182 or
Bosnia? I mean, is Bosnia still
not
a country?
Bosnia? Or is that a city? This is geography, not a geography class. So. I grew up in Oregon, had terrible geography teachings.
But I want to go back to, so I have a question. I want to go back to something you said, and you were talking, so the whole idea of, oh man, and my brain is short, the whole idea of like the tasty thing or whatever. I think one of the things that happens too, it's such a delicate balance, because you're right. My whole thing is like, you don't have to be deprived. You don't have to be deprived. But what has happened for me personally, and I've tried to be very transparent about this, is the things that I did, that I ate, that I enjoyed to lose over 100 pounds, eventually I'm doing those same things and I'm not losing weight and I'm slowly gaining weight. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to keto harder. Like I'm out here, I'm on video, I'm like writing books, I'm doing selfies.
Yeah.
And and it's terrifying because you're like, people, I mean, the worry is you're like, people are going to think I'm like in my closet eating Oreo cookies. And
Yeah.
that you are not in your closet eating Oreo cookies. You know that you're doing everything you've done previously. You're doing everything that you're telling other people to do. But there's this panic. It's like, and you go back to, and this is so important from psychologically, when I started keto in all my life, it's always been, what's wrong with me? What the heck is wrong with me? Because you see people, I grew up with cousins and they would eat more than I did and they weighed less than I did, never had a weight issue. So you spend your entire life, what is wrong with me? And so then you find keto and you're like, oh, I was eating the wrong things. This is easy, pass the bacon. And so, you think, okay, I found the Holy Grail. And then 4 years later, you're still eating the bacon and you're like, my pants getting tight. What's going on? I'm doing the same things I did. And so I think that's huge. But let me go back. There's a delicate balance there between, because it's very easy to overeat keto foods. They're highly palatable because they're high fat, right? And so then when I started looking at what I was eating, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm eating, 40 grams of protein in a day and 190 grams of fat in a day. And that kind of slowly happened because, again, I think you become more high palatable. But there's this balance between, it needs to be healthy, it needs to be nutritionally dense food, but it needs to be enjoyable. And I also think that for some of us, and I really would love your thoughts on this, I think we have to back down on the joy part. And that's really hard for me. But when you're morbidly obese, and for me, especially with mobility issues, before I lost so much weight, I couldn't do things. So the one thing I could enjoy was cooking and eating. And I could love other people that way. And so I think there's also this whole and I remember my husband saying one time, food's not fun anymore. But when food is your fun and your primary sense of fun, maybe, again, I want your thoughts, but maybe part of that long-term sustainability is replacing food as entertainment and joy. Not that you can't still enjoy food, but trying to replace it. I don't know, am I crazy?
No, that's absolutely. And you're right. It is a delicate balance. And little bit of what I had planned for talking about today will go into this, and also, but that's why it's a 3-part series, because we can't cover it all in one show. And I'm not doing Joe Rogan length podcast where he does like a 3-hour thing. But maybe someday. Actually last week, I think we ran like an hour and a half, or last episode, it was like an hour and a half. It was like, we just talked for a while. So, I'm going to indulge someone here. So Sharon is asking if I could give a hint. So again, if those of you are just joining, this is, this podcast, Keto Chat Live, is trending in a new location in a new country, number 19 on the nutrition podcast charts there. I'll give you the hint right now that it's in the Northern Hemisphere. So I'm going to give a little hint. I don't want to give it away yet because I want to keep everyone having fun here. So then Joe Lou is saying that replacing the idea of food as a way to soothe emotions. Yeah. So there is a lot to unpack here. And some of the things that I'll talk about in a little bit, as far as like, what is it that makes us start to regain the weight? This is going to kind of fit in there too. So good insights here already that are happening. But so there's, and then this isn't one, I'll just throw this in here right here too, Kristie, because I never read fiction books. I love learning more about the brain and nutrition. And so the last book that I read was Dopamine Nation. And so this fits with what you're talking about, how maybe we need to pare back the pleasure, the joy a little bit. The book, because I love nerding out on neurochemistry of the brain and what causes cravings and appetite and obsession and addiction. We had somebody earlier, I can't remember who, but they said that I identify as a food addict as well. And so Dopamine Nation is so true, because we live in a time where we've been trained now, like for those that are us older, Kristie and I are about the same age, that
You're way
now,
younger than I am, but anyway. But thank you.
I turned 50 last November, so we're closer than you think, probably.
You look a lot younger than I am.
It's that high fat glow, right? But the last probably like especially 10 years of our life, maybe even 20 years now, where we've just been conditioned that everything is instant gratification, right? Everything is at our fingertips, and this fits with, like, you know, my recommendations I'll chat about in a little bit. But we're conditioned that any urge we have, anything of not feeling, and this fits with who was talking about the emotional eating as well, Joe Lou. Like we're trained that even if we have the slight little bit of discomfort, slight little dip in happiness, that food will immediately lift us up. And, you know, as well as, like, you know, checking our phone every 2 seconds, or email, or turning the TV on, or ordering Uber Eats at you know, we don't even have to leave our house to go through the drive-through anymore. Like every which way, right? Like everything now is instant gratification. And so what happens, I'll just summarize the book because I loved it so much. She talked about, so in our brain, so dopamine is our learning chemical, and it's also what causes us to crave and want things. And every time we do something that's rewarding in our brain, we get a little dopamine reward. The part of our brain that codes for dopamine also overlaps with our pain center in our brain. And so it turns out that those two are two sides of a teeter-totter. And so every time that we do something, and our body always seeks to reach homeostasis. And so whatever we do that offsets that teeter-totter, our body will release. I'm trying to get my hands in the way that you see it. Whatever we do that will give us a dopamine hit, it actually counteracts our neurochemicals in our brain, counteracts it by increasing pain. And then it ends up swinging back and forth. So we're in pain, so we want something that makes us feel better. And so then we get the bigger swings. And so it just perpetuates us, you know, for those of us that are here, I know all of us have this in common, that we've learned that food is really, really effective at giving us a little pleasure in our brain. It's quick and easy. It's everywhere. And it's at our ready. It's so easy. So you're absolutely right. And so part of the key, so the lady who wrote this book was Dr. Lemke, and she's a psychiatrist and works with addiction. And so what she's found is that part of the solution, you're right, we have to pull back on the joy. We have to have a little bit of distress tolerance. Humans are not, we don't thrive where we're constantly given everything we want and given pleasure at everything we want, right? So those of us that are parents, we can identify with this, right? So you know that if you give your child every single thing they want, and, you know, imagine taking it in the grocery store or to the toy store, and everything they wanted, you bought for them and gave it to them. And then the next time you go to the toy store, they're going to want even more. And they're going to be unhappy. They're going to be crying more. They're going to be having tantrums. And so we know with as parents, we have to set boundaries. We know that giving them every single thing that they want isn't good for them. And so we have to parent ourselves the same way. And so we actually have to do less dopamine hits, less rewarding, less giving into everything we want actually creates more of a balance and less pain overall. And so then she also said that one of the ways that we can naturally boost our dopamine without turning towards food to do that is that lean into the pain side, do something that's hard and a little bit painful that will naturally boost our dopamine. Really fascinating stuff. So think about, like, people that get into really intense exercise. That's physically kind of hard and painful for them. I know don't worry, I got lots of examples that made
Give me something else hard and painful. That's
where's my list of I came up with a list the other day for my clients. Let me find it really quickly. So
let's be reasonable here.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. So
exercise.
deep tissue massage, right? It's painful when you're getting it, but afterwards you feel so much better. Acupuncture, cupping, if anybody's ever done that, like, it's a technique where they actually physically cause bruises over your body, and that lifts your dopamine and endorphins. Did I say acupuncture? Rolfing is another body work type of thing that's really intense and really deep tissue. Rolfing. Maybe somebody will know about it.
I don't give out much.
And, so there's lots of things in the physical movement area, like weight training, not for everybody, but like running and hiking, roller coasters. So this is why some people like those really intense, scary things, because on the other side of it, they feel really intense. You could do things like a cold shower. So maybe that, challenging yourself to 1 minute, end your shower with cold water. Kristie's like, I don't like anything that's painful.
Is waterboarding on your list?
Yes. That would be definitely one that would boost your dopamines afterwards. But
what
also
about cleaning the toilet?
Well, is it hard? Is it physically hard? I don't know that one would fit. Maybe you don't like it, but it's not. Maybe if you had to
haven't seen my teen boy's toilet. I don't know.
Like if you had to scrub so hard that your arm was sore by the end of it, probably.
It can't be. It's not just psychologically hard. It has to be physically hard. Okay.
Yeah, and it can't. So here's a couple other categories that maybe I can get you on board with as well. But this is partly like why we enjoy sad movies, like dramas that make us cry. It's painful, and then afterwards we feel better. Sad music, so music that like touches us in a way that we cry while we're listening to it. Okay, so these are all. There's something for everybody here, I promise. And then another category is going to be like creative outlets, like hobbies and things that we have that are all engrossing. They're hard. There's something that's like difficult for us to learn how to do. So we're doing it. We're feeling a little frustrated. Like, why can't I figure out how to do this? And we're all consumed and engrossed in doing that at the time. And we don't have any moment to even think about food or anything like that. So let me know.
Yeah, I could do that one. I'll sign up for that one.
Okay. But also knowing that like leaning in and doing something that is hard, physically hard, and maybe a little painful will end up reducing your cravings and desire to use food to artificially increase your dopamine. So sometimes
what about gardening? Could we get out and garden, like dig in the dirt? And
it could be, but it depends on like if that's like something that's physically very, very difficult for you to do. So there's a difference between like things that are joyous. Those are not things that are pressing on the pain side of this. Okay. So there is a place for things that make us feel good, like walking and stress reduction and those kind of things, getting a pedicure, taking a hot bath, but that's not on this category of pressing on the pain side to increase our dopamine level. So I'll let it ruminate a little bit more too. And if you're interested,
I'm gonna have to think on that. So, it sounds a little masochistic.
But it explains like why some people can get so obsessed with those type of things, because they have leaned into that and they feel so good after they're done with it. So yeah, that's
true. I guess people become exercise junkies, and that's not me. But,
yeah. That was a fun little side trip. So and Jo Lou, she's been Rolfed. I never know how to say it exactly right. So she knows what that is. Basically, just think it's like really intense massage where they're doing some like, deep tissue work. And it's, from what I understand, it's pretty painful to have it done, but ends up being, Jo Lou, share your experience with us. Like afterwards, did you feel like really good and a lot better, maybe a day or two later or something? So, all right. So, no, Kristie's like, oh man, what did I sign up for here?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to get this book, but I don't know. I don't know if that's healthy.
but you kind of had already figured this out a little bit, where you said like maybe we have to pull back a little bit on the joy and using food as our whole source of it, right? Like so. We can kind of all realize that like if we give in to every single whim and give in to every craving, that in the end it causes more distress than it does joy in our life. So it's along those lines, a little further.
Yeah, but I also think for me, I remember because food was one of those few things I really enjoyed. I mean, because you become somewhat socially isolated. I mean, I had back issues, and I wasn't happy, and that, framed some of my relationships with others. But I think one of the things too, like for me, like when after I lost so much weight, the holidays came, like all of a sudden, going to a party wasn't about the buffet. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would really enjoy talking, and I was doing things to intentionally avoid the food. I was doing things to intentionally avoid dessert. And so I would maybe this is a pain point, I don't know, but I would help clear the dishes. I'd wash up dishes, or I would intentionally just get a coffee and sit with people. And again, get physically far away from the desserts. But I actually started really looking forward to catching up with extended family or talking to people. And before I just if I was whether it was a party or whatever, I'd be so preoccupied with the food and what was I going to eat and could I get back in line, and would people notice if I picked up 5 pieces of meatballs or whatever. And that wasn't, I mean, I could actually go to a party and never even eat the food, and if I wasn't hungry and I ate before. And so if you're not focused on the food, if you're able to kind of break that addiction and not focus on that, what can you focus on? So I guess for me, it wasn't replacing pleasure with pain, but replacing pleasure with different pleasures, with acceptable pleasures, if that makes sense. So it's a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and to clarify too, the whole like pressing on the pain side isn't about replacing something that was pleasurable with pain. It's more of
the balance.
Well, it's doing something a little bit difficult and painful that prophylactically boosts your endorphins and dopamine, so that then you don't have cravings the rest of the day, or your cravings are much less. So that's what the whole the theory is, that you do this because then it makes everything else easier going forward. So it's a little bit of pain for a lot of gain from it. So yeah. Okay. So here's Jo Lou sharing about her rolfing. So very painful. It releases emotional memories stored in the body over a course of 12 sessions. You release a lot of emotional history. I recommend you see a counselor simultaneously to process things. Yes. So definitely really pressing into the pain, but releasing so much from the body. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure that in the end, you feel so much freer, and like there was a lot of positive that came out of it. I can imagine that you wouldn't have endured 12 sessions of it if it wasn't. Entire session on its own, holiday party strategy. Yes. I think that's what Kristie's working on with her membership right now too. So, well, so up next, I just want to cover some of the myths that people believe about, about keto and dieting and weight loss. And then I'm going to go into some truths and then actually my recommendations too. So, and then Kathy guessed Greece. So those of you that are just joining, I'm having everybody guess where Keto Chat Live, this podcast that you're currently listening to, where we're charting number 19 in the world. So Greece is actually the place that we have been charting most of the time this show's been out. So this is episode, I think, 22 or 23, whichever one. But Greece is actually where we've been charting up until recently. And that we're currently at 50. I just looked at that. Is it 59? We are charting in Greece, 59 in the nutrition podcast. But this is another place where we're now number 19 in nutrition podcast. So I gave the hint that it's in the Northern Hemisphere. I'll give another hint. It's in Europe. So I'll give that as well. So, but now I want to do, so just some myths. So as I talk about these, give me a Y or a yes in the comments if this is something that you've believed in the past. And maybe even it's something that you kind of, oh my gosh, we got a winner. How did I, ding, 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 winner, chicken dinner. Sharon, you, I don't know. I should have given her a prize. I don't know what. Can you see that? Number 19 in Poland in nutrition. Yay. I guess it was Europe that, because maybe she scrolled through all the other Europe guesses and she's like, what else is left?
I know, I'm like, what else is left?
Yay. Excellent. All right. Good job. All right. So I'm going to go through the myths that we tell ourselves. I think I'm going to blame the whole dieting industry in general for all these myths, because they've sold us this. They've lied to us for so long, right? So one of the ones I'll just write up top about keto is that Keto is the best. It's the easiest diet to follow. No one will ever fail on keto. You can lose easily and keep it off forever. How many believe that one? I would say yes on that one. I believe that early on. Can't fail. So easy. Never going to go back. Donna's got a thumbs up on that one. Yep. And another one that I think this is probably the biggest myth that diet programs sell to us is that, diets have a start and a stop. And we measure their success by how much weight we lose on the diet. But totally ignore what happens after we go off the diet, right? So a diet is only as successful as it is at helping you maintain your successes. And almost every diet plan out there on the planet gives you this fantasy that you get to no, you just do this really hard thing until you lose the weight. Another myth that we tell ourselves. Oh my gosh, how many of you believe this one? Well, if I just lose the weight, that will motivate me to keep it off. That's all I need to do. It's just the number on the scale. I don't know why last time it didn't work, but I'm gonna tell myself this myth again. That if I get to my goal weight, I will be disciplined, and I promise I will keep it off this time. Oh, look at all the whys that we're getting and the thumbs up for these. Yes. Pam, I so agree, which is why I hesitated before starting keto. Tell me more about what were you, what was your hesitation there? So yeah. If you guys are just joining in, we did get somebody got the answer correct. It's Poland. Actually, we're number 19 in Poland in nutrition podcasts. So, but keep guessing if you like, but Poland is the right answer. Kathy saying, I hate the society measures you by number. Absolutely. Yes. We've got that. If I get to this magic number on the scale, everything in the world and my life will be perfect and great. We add that into one of the myths as well too. So true. So, but the truth is, the sad truth is that 95% of diets fail, including keto. So I looked at, I went and dug into the research last year when I was designing my long-term support for my clients. And there was a meta-analysis study, which meta-analysis, if you're not a research nerd, it just means they basically compiled all the research that's out there. And so they looked at 29 research studies on long-term weight loss. And what they found was that more than half of the weight that was lost was regained within 2 years. And that within 5 years, 80% of the weight had been regained. And so this is looking at all different kinds of weight loss diets. So how many people feel really sad, right? It's not your fault is what I want to first say. It's not your fault that this is the truth. It's the diets that have lied to you, and it's because they're missing some really key components, which I'm going to share with you here. So let's see, Marianne saying, oh goodness, I just remembered to sign in. Oh, she's just joining us. Welcome, Marianne. Pam says, I decided I wasn't going to keep yo-yo dieting and wanted to something that I would continue with and not a diet, lose weight and then stop dieting to gain more. Good. Yes. Excellent. Like we talked about earlier, is that you have to come to terms with the fact that if you want long-term change in your body, you have to make long-term change in your lifestyle and habits too. So, Kristie, keeping my why is the best.
Yeah. We talk a lot about my why, knowing why this matters, why it's important to you, so that it's easier to make those decisions in the moment, for sure.
Yeah. So true. I that's what I coach my clients on as well too, because the scale is one thing. We need to actually have a whole big, massive why that we're doing this. That's more important than the scale. So Valerie's sharing that when she goes off, that massive migraines. So that's one of her whys is avoiding the pain of that. Yeah. Okay, so why is it that all these diets fail? I've got 3 different categories to let you know of why it's not your fault. And I'm really big on empowering, right? So when you know the reasons for things, it helps you actually make change instead of just Carol gave me a meal plan. I guess I'm going to follow it, but I'm going to give you information to empower you so that you don't have to be a statistic. You don't have to be part of the 95% that gain even more weight than they started. So the 3 different categories of why is it that we regain the weight? 1 is biology, 2 is our behaviors, and then 3 is that we live in what's called an obesogenic environment. Our world is designed to make us gain weight. So I'll dig into these a little bit more deeper too, but biology, it turns out, does anybody remember that study that came out a few years ago about The Biggest Loser and about how they went back and checked in on these people that even though they maintained their diet and low calories and were exercising, what was it, up to 4 hours a day still, that they all started to regain the weight? So it turns out that unfortunately our biology, our body, it wants to gain weight. It wants to be heavier than we are. It's a mismatch, unfortunately, because most of the times that humans have existed, food has been pretty scarce. And so those of us that have survived, like Kristie and I, our body's really good at storing every single morsel of food because it's still afraid that there's going to be a shortage of food. And we don't live in that world anymore. And unfortunately, our biology is mismatched for that. So our body compensates, actually. So this is why those Biggest Loser people started to regain the weight, even though they were doing everything right, is that when you maintain too low of a calorie intake for too long, your metabolism slows down to prevent you from dying. And also your hormones start to increase your appetite, right? So has anybody ever felt like, gosh, I'm doing everything right. Why am I starting to gain weight again? I'm still following keto, like Kristie shared her story earlier too, that like, what is going on? You're not crazy. Your body is unfortunately working against you. It doesn't mean it's hopeless, but you got to know, you got to recognize this. And so this is where you think that you're eating the exact same amount that you are, but actually your portions start to get a little bit bigger without you recognizing that. And also because your metabolism is slowed down, then that's a recipe for actually gaining weight pretty rapidly too. So I've got this, let's see if I can share this. I've got this slide. How do I forgot how I actually shared on here. Let's see. Oh, Chrome tab. Here we go. Can you see that? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So this is what research shows was that it's tiny. I know, right? So the blue line, basically, so the bottom of it is how long people were on a weight loss journey. And then the left-hand side is the percentage of body weight that they lost. And so you can see that at about 5 months is where kind of, the most rapid weight loss is the first 5 months there. So the red line is people that were having maintenance visits is what they're calling this. So basically follow-up care, like long-term support. So the people that were getting that long-term support, they lost more than the group who didn't have that support. And then they actually could, so you can see even at that's at 10 months, they kept losing even more, whereas the people that weren't getting long-term support started to regain the weight. And then at 15 months, you can see that even with maintenance, support, people did gain a little bit back. That's part of that biology that's starting to combat your weight loss. But you can definitely see that when you didn't have support, that much more of that weight came back much sooner. So yeah. So the way that I'll have some recommendations for you. So a lot of people are going to be like, but this sounds hopeless. All of this, I'm sharing those to let you know that you're not crazy. That you're doing things correctly a lot of times, and your body is trying to trick you into just, this is part of what comes up where you're like, oh, just one bite, or I've been so good for so long and this won't hurt. And slowly it just falls off track.
Or conversely, you get where like, I've worked so hard, this isn't working, forget it. Like just, it's hopeless. Like there's this learned helplessness. Like it doesn't matter what I do. Actually, I had an endocrinologist, and parts of this were helpful, but she actually said to me, and I was kind of complaining, like I can't break through, this weight or this size, this pant size, and she knew my history. And she said, think about, whatever my age was at the time, you're 50 years old. Think about what has been your weight since you were young. What has been your weight? And when I started thinking about that, because we all know, like, how much did I weigh when I got married? How much did I weigh when I graduated high school?
Right?
How much did I weigh
We
when I
have our
got,
weight milestones, right?
yeah, exactly. We know. We don't remember the year, but we remember the size dress we were wearing, right, for this event. And I realized that I had spent most of my life weighing around 250 pounds. And she's like, you're, whatever, you're 80 pounds less than that or 100 pounds less than that. What your body is fighting to get back there. If you've
Mhm.
spent most, and when we did the math, you've spent 75% of your life at 250 or higher. At one point, I
Mhm.
weighed 313 pounds. This is normal for your body. Your body says, I'm starving. And I'm like, I look at me. And she's like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's that homeostasis that I think you talked about a little bit earlier. Like for your body, it needs to be here to be happy. And of
Yeah.
course, I looked at her and said, well, if it can learn to be 250, it can learn to be 150.
Yes.
But it hadn't done that. But that's a big part of it. It's like, if it can learn X, how do we retrain it to learn Y? But you're right. I mean, and other physicians, obesity experts have said to me, your body's going to fight against you. It will always fight against you. And that sucks. Let me just be
Yeah.
really honest here. Like, I
Yeah.
hate that. I
Yeah.
hate that. But everybody has their hard. And I have figured, that's another part of this too, is like, okay, well, I'm short, I'm fat. I'm short. Like, these are my struggles, but there are worse things,
Mhm.
right? So that's how I've come to terms with it. But no, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear more because you're right. Your body will fight you. And a lot of it has to do with the survival. I mean, the good news is when we're all hungry from the zombie apocalypse, I'm going to last forever.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's those people that sometimes we say we hate them because they are not overweight. They're going to die first because their body can't
They're
store
gone.
any fat.
Yeah,
So.
they're gone.
Oh, we all have pros and cons. So yeah, Kathy's sharing the natural for one to become lax or complacent with their practices. And so, yeah, that's actually part of this biology thing, is that we often just feel like we don't even know why we go back into the carbs. We don't even know why, why did I stop doing all these things? And part of it is because your biology is more powerful than your willpower or best intentions too. So that's part of your the body part that's trying to get you to regain the weight, the body part, the hormones and all that are the part that talk you into being lax and complacent and stop doing that stuff. So Kathy's saying for the zombie apocalypse, she only has to outrun one person at a time, right? Oh, well, and shout out Marianne sharing too that she's down over 100 pounds since 2009. Way to go, Marianne. Keep up the good work. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Good for you.
So the second category, like I said, there's three different kind of reasons why 95% of diets fail. So the number two categories are behaviors. Habits are hard to change. Things that we've done most of our life it's kind of like, think of it as like a deep groove in our brain, and it's and your tires just keep falling back into that track. So it takes diligence, it takes effort to change your habits. And so it's really, really easy to just go back to what we've always done. One of the biggest slip-ups, one of the biggest triggers for slipping back into old habits is stress. How many of you have had something where everything's going great on keto and then something out of nowhere, super stressful, crops up, and then next thing you know, you're just back into your old carby habits and you're like, wait, what happened? How did I go off the rails? So when stress comes up, our brain goes on autopilot, and the autopilot is a lot of those old carby habits, right? So habits are hard to change. Don't give up. Keep working at it. Yeah, Linda's getting a hand raised. Mimi, a yes
This is
from
something
Joni.
This is something we talk about so much in the community. You've got to create new habits, and that's where I ask people to do pick two new recipes per week. And that's what I did when I started. I realized it was summer. My kids were out of school. I realized, okay, school's starting back. My kids are involved in everything known to man. Like every, afternoon, there's a practice or a whatever, pickup or homework, or there's always something. And so if I don't get those new habits, I'm going to be back to frozen chicken tenders, right? And lean cuisines. And I did not want to go back there. So it's like I knew as a mom that I had like those 10 meals that I always had, spaghetti with pasta, all the high carb things, frozen lasagna in the microwave or in the freezer all the time. So it's like, okay, I've got to replace that. Because if I don't replace these habits, when life gets hard, and life will get hard, like it's going to happen. Something's going to be stressful. Let's prepare now. And so that's a big thing we talk about in the community. Like pick two things per week, 2 new recipes to make. And eventually, instead of those 10 high carb things, you'll have 10 easy go-to meals that become a habit. And so, when there ain't nothing else, I'm going to have skillet pizza. Or I'm going to, whatever the thing is, whatever your list is. And yeah, you're right. Absolutely. You've got to create those new habits.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Is this what's this emoji here? Is that a workout or that's a wave? Okay. I was like, it looked like a little hand weight, like Marianne saying like, keep working out, but it's actually, I think it's her hand waving. So that's
me.
Yeah. Okay, so the final category here is that we live in a obesogenic environment. Somebody, let's see, who was asking? Kathy's asking. So what is the answer to combat? So I'll cover that too, so don't worry. But obesogenic just means like, basically it's like pro weight gain, okay? So that word obesogenic just means our environment is designed to make us gain weight. There are highly palatable foods everywhere. So highly palatable, typically that's going to be something that's high in fat and sweet, high in carbs and fat. So all snack foods in your non-keto world, the reason they taste so good is that our brains love that combination. That combination makes us eat more than we would if they were separate. Okay, so imagine the experiment of like, if you have a stick of butter by itself, there's only so much of that you could eat. But if you mix that stick of butter with almond flour and some swerve, and turn it into some delicious, cookies, and especially if it's a non-keto version, right? Like that was one of the things before that was like, I can't not eat a whole pile of these, right? But each of those individual ingredients, one by themselves, you're not going to overeat it. But when that's the combination together, our brain is wired to go like, that's the most delicious thing and we'll eat more.
And that, I'm raising my hand here. Please, that is absolutely the big issue I have with some of these keto products. So all these has these cookies, like they have those chocolate chip cookies that are like yay big around, right?
Yeah.
And they're, believe it or not, they're relatively clean ingredients. I mean, when you look at them, there's not like the chicory root fiber or whatever. But if I have one of those bags of cookies, it becomes a single serving size.
Yeah.
And even if I can control the portion, if it's in my cabinet, and then like I can eat it every day, even once a day, every single day until the bag's gone. But if I have to get out the almond flour and soften the butter and get out the food processor and mix that cookie dough up and bake it in the oven and wait, 45 minutes, and then I got to clean the kitchen. Go back to your pain point. That's a bit of a pain point for me. I mean, I'm going to make cookies 2 or 3, 4 times a year, maybe even just twice a year when the kids ask for them. But I can go to Aldi's every single stinking day of the week and get my credit card, and it's convenient. So I absolutely think, I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. While some people are like, oh, I'm so glad we had that option. I'm like, that sucks. Like, I don't want that as an option because it's too convenient. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That is one of my notes here is exactly that. Like that, 5 or 6 years ago, there were very few grab and go keto snack, junk food, cookie things, right? Now, every possible replacement of our former carby versions, they've got the keto version of that. And while arguably
not a good thing,
may be healthier for us, arguably, it just contributes to overeating and us regaining the weight, unfortunately. So I'm with you. I wish they weren't out there, but they're these food manufacturers, I'll let you know that a lot of these keto product companies, they aren't on our side. They're actually, started by companies that their whole goal is just to make money. The more we eat, the more money they make. So I'm sure there's some good ones out there with good intentions. I'm not going to put them all in and sweep them all under the rug here, but most of them, their whole goal is to get us, the more we eat, the more money they make. So
I would much rather, I've got this. I would much rather somebody eat a bag of this, because at least you've got some protein. And I can use some portion control. Unless this is lunch, I can use some portion control. But hand me all these cookies, and they're until they're gone. And I absolutely agree. I think, and people will get so excited, like, look what I found. Unfind it. Unfind it, because again, it's too convenient. It's like having access to fruit 12 months out of the year. I mean, we talk about that from an evolutionary perspective. It used to be that berries were available, in season 2 or 3 weeks from a year, and it was cyclical, depending on where you lived. But now we have that access 24/7. And anyway, so the same thing with the cookies. That becomes as much of a problem as a Snickers.
I agree with Joe Lou too, is that when it's in the pantry, it's the siren song. Like I can hear it calling my name. I'm still in here. You should come eat me. I have the same thing that happens as well. So most of the time those things just don't live in my house, because the same thing, like I will, oh my gosh, me too. Sharon says she feels this way about nuts. Very hard to control. So, with my clients, I don't know, Kristie, have you ever heard of this or talk about this, but like the red light, yellow light, green light foods, have you heard of that concept? So
we do have, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's kind of, so there are things that could be keto friendly, nuts, for example, pumpkin seeds, pork rinds, maybe heavy cream even. But there's certain things for certain people. Red light food to me is one that you can't control yourself. If it's in front of you, you will eat it all till it's gone. And even if it's like limited where it's out in, at a party or an event or something like that, you also don't eat it because it just makes you feel miserable and you can't stop eating it. Yellow light things are things that maybe if you can have portion control over it, maybe it's something that you have in your house occasionally, you've got portion control, but it's not something that all the time can just be out on your counter that you can have like lots and lots of control over. So nuts kind of fall in that yellowish category for me. It's like once in a while I can have those if there's portion control, but for the most time I don't have them in my house because I will eat them. I will overeat them.
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. Something we've had to talk about lately, and this is so painfully true, is when you have a significant other or spouse or kids in the house. And this lady and I were talking, so her husband, eats nuts, like a lot of nuts, and it's not really a problem for him. He's happy with where he is with his health and his weight. And she's not. And she's like, he has these nuts and I eat them. And she's really torn because she's like, it's not fair for me to be angry at him because he's eating nuts. But then, so he has a right to have his nuts. But and for her, it's like, I don't want the nuts. And so one of the things that David and I do, and I actually offered her this suggestion, I was like, I have said to my husband, do not bring, because he'll go to Sam's Club. And so he's not like getting a pack of nuts. Yeah. He's getting the big bins, like the drum, they look like a barrel of oil, but they're nuts. He'll get those and bring them in the house and they sit them on the counter. And so what I've had to do is there's a David cabinet. And so those kinds of things that Kristie has a problem with go into the David cabinet. Now I don't have to lock it yet. Thank goodness. But there's something for me psychologically about that cabinet. It's not just out of sight, out of mind, but that's not my cabinet. Okay. And I don't know how to, it's right, it's not right here. It's on the other side, but it's right here in the kitchen. I walk past it, 40 times a day. But if it's in that cabinet I won't touch it. I won't think about it because it's not mine. It's like his sock drawer in the bedroom. I'm not going in there. And so it's really kind of an interesting thing. So I just offer that. And so I said to her, hey, David has his drawer. I don't go into it. maybe that would work. And so she sat down and she had a really nice long conversation with her husband, and he agreed to put his things, his cheese whisks and his nuts or whatever, in this is his cabinet. And she agreed that is his cabinet. And she let me know, about a week later, she's like, this is working. Like,
that's good.
This is working. Yeah, she's like, I couldn't stay out of it when it was in like a shared cabinet space. I couldn't stay out of it, but that's his cabinet. And she's like, this is working for us. So I just want to offer that if you're in okay, Trisha says her husband has his cabinet. So yeah, if you're in a space like that where you have to share and compromise, I don't know, it's odd, but it works.
Yeah. I love that too. You've got to advocate for yourself, but figuring out a compromise. That's just like what makes a successful marriage, right? Like you've got to different things for different people and figuring out how you both fit. So Kathy's asking if he eats them in front of you. So,
oh my gosh. So I actually wrote about this one time. My husband and ice cream. Oh my gosh. So I am one of those people that like I'll eat dinner and then I am not, I do 90% of the time I'm not eating again because I'm not hungry. So I will not eat again until the next day when I'm hungry. My husband, come heck or high water, and he's getting a lot better about it, but sometime between 9 and 10 at night, that man will get his ice cream out of the freezer, or he'll get nuts, or he'll get bacon, or something. And a lot of times it's like he's letting the dog out, for the end of the night thing before we go to bed, and he's eating. And so he got to this like routine where he would get his ice cream and he would sit down and he'd get his little bowl of ice cream, a little bowl, and his little spoon, and he would eat his ice cream. And I love my husband. Everybody knows I love my husband. But he would get his spoon and he would just like tap, 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 tap. And he would like scrape. Like he could not leave. I'm not kidding. Like he could not leave a molecule of ice cream in this thing. And I'm like looking at him going, oh my God, it's empty. But he was like still scraping. And I couldn't stand it. I could not stand it. And so we got into this thing where it's like, I'm going to strangle him in real life. I'm going to So I decided every time I would see him like get up and head to the fridge or whatever, the freezer, or get his little special ice cream bowl, I would leave. I would intentionally go back into the bathroom. I go, Kathy, he is still alive. I go wash my face. I go call my mom, whatever. I would intentionally leave the room. And so, yeah, that's a secret to not killing your husband. But it was and he hasn't done it, but I did write about it. I actually did write about like, oh my gosh. And he'd slurp and, Lord, yeah. So anyway.
Maybe you could get him. Do you remember baby spoons that were like coated in plastic or Teflon? You could get him one of those so he couldn't scrape maybe, but the slurping, I don't know. You got to.
So he'll even lick it's like a little bowl. He'll even like I can't even stand it. But anyway, I'm sure I do nothing annoying, right? Like there's no way I ever do.
Right? No, yeah. It's them. So short answer, we've got factors fighting against us, like big things that are fighting against us. So that's, part of what I wanted to share in this part 1 of this 3-part series was like, it's not your fault. There's reasons why it's so hard. And we're here to share with you, strategies and developing that, right? So first of all, you've got to recognize that if you want to be successful with these huge obstacles in place, it takes a comprehensive long-term approach to keep the weight off, right? So remember that chart I showed with people are getting long-term maintenance support. They're much more successful at losing more weight and also keeping it off longer. And also you have to acknowledge and come to terms with the fact that like there's no end to your healthy eating habits. The analogy I've come up with this is that, the diet industry sells us this fantasy that we just need to do a diet for 4 or 6 weeks or however long to keep the weight off. And then we get to go to maintenance. Then we get to go back to eating the way that we were before, right? But this is such a ridiculous lie that they've sold us, right? So imagine, I know Kristie's not a fan of exercise, but just imagine that you're trying to get physically fit, right? Let's say you had a goal that you wanted to be in shape, like whatever that means, right? And okay, I've got to go to the gym. Do we have the fantasy, though, that if you want to maintain that physical fitness, your ability to maybe run a mile on the treadmill or something like that, Do we have the fantasy that we just do that for 6 weeks and then we're fit the rest of our lives? That will motivate us to physically stay fit just because we did it for a period of time? Like, no, we know that's ridiculous. That if we want to change, like if we want to get strong and lift weights, if we want to, train, be physically fit, we know you have to go to the gym, 3, 4, 5 times a week indefinitely. We know that. That's why we have gym memberships. You can't, so changing our eating habits, changing our body composition, we have to have that same mentality. We have to come to terms with the fact that, that's why Kristie has a membership as well for her cooking academy. Is that what it's called?
That's a good name. It's actually called Kristie's Cooking Community. But I like
no, that's great too. Yeah. Well, I gave it a whole new name. No, Kristie's Cooking Community. Yeah, it's a membership because you have to make a long-term commitment to this. I have a membership for my clients as well, so that they get that long-term support. So if you want to be physically fit, you have to continue to do that. There's no way of just short-term fixing it and then it's good forever. Kind of like your car. You have to put gas in it frequently. You can't just fill it up one time and then it's good and drives forever. So, I do have to
actually.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to go into some recommendations a little bit more too. Like some of this I probably have hit on just rambling here, but give me your thoughts quick. Community, we're all in it together. Yes, so true.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, I was going to say, I've actually had people say to me, I don't want to do keto, or I've heard that if you do keto, that if you stop, you'll just gain it back. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, if you stop treading water, you drown.
Yes.
Like, yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop paying your light bill to turn them off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So true, Kristie. Every time I hear that too, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what other diet is there that you stop it and you keep the weight off? Like,
and your Weight Watchers didn't even work when I was doing it. So.
Oh yeah. Let's see my recommendations then. So one of those is that you need to have a long-term strategy in place before the weight starts to come back on. If you try to employ it after things are kind of going the wrong direction, it's much harder. Also just acknowledging and leaning into that fact that it does take long-term support. So, a community of other people, just a little teaser of what's to come in part 2 and 3 is that you need to have real people that you're connected with in a support community. That's one of the keys that research shows. And what I've seen with my clients, the ones that are most successful, you've got people that you're seeing that are successful that you hang out with. So, so the things that I found, they're the most successful, my most successful clients, the things that I've seen that they have, again, this is like a teaser of what's coming up for part 2 and part 3 of this series, is that they attend a weekly group meeting. They participate in ongoing education. So you need to keep understanding what's going on in your body and keep learning about all this so that you can stay ahead of it. And then they also are monitoring their body and their health so that when there's changes that are, showing that things are going in the wrong direction, we can make course corrections when things are just a little tiny change rather than having to turn the whole ship around. So, and this also, aligns with what research shows that the most successful people get as well too. So.
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I have a real life example that's not related to food. Can I share this? Am I talking too much?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
That's why you're here. I wanted you to talk as much as possible. Yes.
Okay. So my son is 15 and he went away. People who follow me will know this. He went away to a residential high school. It's a free public residential high school. And it's for kids who excel in science and math. He was 15. So Jonathan skipped a grade, and then his birthday is late August. So he was already young. So he's about 2 years younger than a lot of the kids. So he's a junior in high school. He was actually 14 when he moved into his dorm, quite young. And we were anxious about that. But our daughter had done a similar program, and we knew part of the struggle, right? Because been there, done that. And so we sat down with him and we said, look, we have no doubt that you can't do this. You're smart enough. You've got the background. You've got the tenacity. All these pieces, we're set you up for success. But this is going to be hard. you're going to this new place, and there are going to be times when you're probably going to be homesick. You're going to have to live with a roommate, which is a different experience. You're going to be taking a shower on the hall with other guys sharing a bathroom, which he's never had to do. You are going to have to buy your own groceries and go to the cafeteria and do your own schedule. And there's nobody going to be doing your laundry. You have to do laundry. And so we actually, had him do laundry at home. We took him out, had him order with a credit card, pay with a credit card. He'd never done that before. Talked to him about how to leave a tip. But we said, there are going to be times when it's hard. You don't have any friends there. You don't know any teachers or staff. Who are you going to ask? And so we weren't quite that harsh, but it was like, when it gets hard for you, what are you going to do? We didn't try to pretend like, oh, you're going to love it. Here's your new comforter. Here's your new sheets. Like, here's your quarters. Do your laundry. It was, there are going to be times when this sucks. So again, we didn't use that language, but how do we make this better? And so we really talked to him about those strategies. You're going to feel homesick. What's the solution? How do we help you? What do you need from us? What do you need from mom and dad? And I think that's the same thing going into any of this, with a diet, with a change of eating habit. It's going to be hard. There are going to be times when people are eating popcorn. Oh my gosh, you're going to be at the movies and you're going to smell it and you love popcorn. What are you going to do? Like you said, you've got to get that plan in advance. And I think we kid ourselves. I think we kid, this is another diet lie or diet myth. We think, oh, we're going to lose all the weight and we live happily ever after. No. If anybody tells you that, they're lying, slap them. It's not true. There's not a happily ever after. There are different stages of it. And to be honest, maintenance can be so much harder because when you're new to this and you're actively losing weight and you're eating the bacon and you're eating the cream cheese and you're having all this stuff and it's like you get up every morning and the scale rewards you. Congratulations, you're down another pound and it feels good. Congratulations, your clothes are smaller. And then you get into maintenance like, oh my gosh, I think this is tighter. And that is a crappy way to feel, especially when you've been doing a lot of the same things. But I think you have to prepare your mindset for that. There are going to be times when you're hungry. There are going to be times when you don't eat what you really want to eat, just like being homesick. What are you going to do? And I think we have to have very honest conversations about that and plan in advance. Otherwise, mom, bring me home. I'm tired. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too darn hard. And I think, does that analogy ring true?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. You put a lot of work in up front, knowing that things were going to be hard. You had a very good plan. You thought about a ton of stuff, and there'll probably be more stuff that you guys didn't even think of, but just that level of support and planning, it's going to make him so much more successful. And, knowing it. So yeah, I love that.
Do the same thing with your diet. Do the exact same thing with your diet. There's going to be parties. There's going to be the popcorn. There's going to be the holidays. There's going to be the times when you're just darn hungry and you didn't plan.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Love it. Love it. Yes. Keto Mama Kristie is going to help you come up with all those plans. All right, Leanne saying, Leanne, you spell your name the same exact way that my mom does. And it's funny because actually her last name is the same number, or actually, no, her last name is Enox instead of Evans here. So very close name to my mom's every time I see it. So, Kathy's got some good advice here. You will fall, but pick yourself back up. Absolutely. Just because something went wrong doesn't mean you need to quit. You just keep going. Excellent.
But I think more than that, I think you have to stop when something goes wrong. I think you have to stop and think about it. And there's another analogy I use with my kids. When you get your test back, I don't care what you got right. I care what you got wrong. Take that time to think about what went wrong because it's going to happen again. So what do you need to know? I'm sorry, guys, but it's a cumulative exam. Every stinking day, it's cumulative. So if you missed it on the first quiz, you need to be ready because you're going to see it again. So what do we miss? How do we make this better? And how do we fix it so that we're better prepared the next time that pops up? Sorry, I am in mama mode.
Yeah, it's such great wisdom. Oh my gosh. Kristie, how do people find out more about so right now, this is going to live on forever out there on the internets. And so if people are listening, tell us you have open enrollment in your cooking keto with Kristie community. Is that what it is? Something like that, right?
Yeah, but Kristie's it's homemade.health. Homemade.health.
Let's see. I'm gonna make a banner here. Homemade.health.
Yeah, health. HEALTH. Homemade.health. Like homemade cookies. It's homemade.health. Yeah, right? Exactly. Okay. But it's a lowercase m, but that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah,
well, it'll turn out the same, just so that people can spell it. Like you can put all capitals and it will the URL will still work. So
and we're only open quarterly. So like people can join now to go through the end of the year. October 10th, registration ends. You can't join again until like December 27th. Because what I like to do is I have registration open for like 10 days and then we close the doors because I want to focus on everybody who's in that community. I don't want to be answering questions and getting new people oriented. Like, no, we got to focus on the work we got to do. And so we're going to concentrate on that. And I love that it's quarterly because we're going to be talking about, I did have founding members, my special founding members who joined me in August, but we do it quarterly because it takes 3 months. We talked about habits tonight. It takes 3 months to get those habits. So give me 3 months and let's do, and we do have a lot of fun. We go live, we go live. We do cooking sessions. We made, you're talking about Greece earlier. We made a Mediterranean dish this afternoon. Next week, we're making high protein crackers. We're making Oreo cheesecake, not Oreos, but kind of Oreos for the holidays. But soups, and we're anyway. So many of these things that are are for day-to-day living. In January, we're going to get back. We've been doing 15-minute meals, and so 15-minute hot meals. I'm not talking about Hot Pockets. I'm not talking about a microwave meal. I'm talking about a really good, delicious meal in 15 minutes, one skillet, so that you're not also cleaning up for days at a time. But those are the kinds of things, real life kinds of foods. And we're learning about products too. So like we did this whole thing on marinades. And so we talked about balsamic vinegar and people are like, can we have balsamic vinegar? Like, well, maybe. And so we even talk about like how to purchase it. How do you know which brands? And I can't tell you every brand in the universe, but my goal is to teach you how to look at the labels and decide for yourself. But anyway, so that's what we do in the community. And we have our own little place where we can ask questions. We have a texting app so I can text people. In fact, before tonight, I texted, said, hey, come on over to Facebook. But anyway, so we have a lot of fun. But so we're cooking good food. We're talking about shopping. I'm not a nutritionist like Carol. That's not my jam. But if you're sitting in your house going, what am I going to eat? Then that's me going, well, how about this? I'll pay.
Pam's asking for a lifetime membership. So,
well,
I know if you join and stay a membership, that's how you get the best rate, right? Because right now it's whatever rate it is, and if you maintain your membership, that's how you stay lifetime membership.
Exactly, it never goes up, and it includes what I do. Like there's this free smoothie ebook that's coming up. I'm editing it now. I'm proofreading it right now. Hopefully, with any luck, I had the worst technical difficulties today. Probably it's because I'm old, but with any luck, that smoothie ebook will get posted this weekend. So anything that I do like that is free. It goes right into the community. Members don't have to pay for it. I was charging like $25 to $30 for every single cooking class. And now like we're doing at least like 7 or 8 a month. And it's that one fee. So people aren't having to pay. It saves them a ton of money. And I've got so many people in my membership. You can't even buy the sessions because it's too full. It's too full. I mean, because you want to be able to answer questions and get that kind of quality interaction with people. And so I've had to just limit what I'm doing.
Well, and you guys, it is such a bargain. Like before Kristie launched this, I kept telling her like, that's too cheap. That's too cheap. You need to charge more. So go grab it. If you want some loving keto cooking community, I'm making this sound like an infomercial, but like I genuinely, like I love Kristie and the work she does, and she's just a really good, down-to-earth, really good person. And so I love supporting people like that. But it's such a joy to have you here on this show. I do want to tease next week's episode. So next week is going to be part 2 of this series that I'm doing on how to make keto sustainable. And next episode, I actually will have a hypnotist. Jim Kellner will be on as my guest co-host next week for part 2 of how to make keto sustainable. So come back. Again, if you want to check out Kristie's cooking community membership, homemade.health is where you go for that. If you go there and it's past or open, I'm sure she has some kind of a wait list for the next time that you can join. So check that out. But today on this episode, we talked about why is it that 95% of diets fail? I know all of you got a little depressed there, but we also gave you a lot of hope and some action steps and things that you need to have in place. I loved Kristie's example of, how she set her son up for success in a super challenging environment of what it was going to be. She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't tell him, she didn't bacon coat it. She didn't tell him like, it's going to be so easy. She actually, let him know what to expect. And so I would love it if all of you watching now in the comments, just kind of share what your takeaway, what's your big aha or takeaway from this episode today.
Yeah. What'd you learn? I want to see it too.
What'd you learn? Kathy says we love her too. That's why she has such a good following. I'm pretty sure you're probably one of the only keto people influencers that has no drama or just good stuff, right? Like,
what do you mean no drama? What am I missing? Should I be a Kardashian?
Every people have like trolls on the internet and they have like drama that comes up and people are haters. I just don't see you as having any haters at all.
Aw, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I mean, I'm really fortunate. I don't have you're right. I am very fortunate in that.
Kathy's takeaway, plan and community, know your why. Excellent. Have a plan, community. What else?
I think that community is so important. Just like we talked about, like you see other people and you're jealous of their success. I think we also see other people and they're like, what's she doing? You kind of put your eyes on their paper, and it's helpful. It's helpful. Like when I say, hey guys, this is what I ate for lunch when we were on the road. Like that's helpful to people. That's not an endorsement, not an affiliate link. I don't do those.
I know in my cupboard, I've got Jack Links. I love those like steak strips. Really great one to have on hand. Not an endorser of the show, but we're open to it. Trisha says that she learned that our body will always work against us in the long run. I had no idea. Very eye-opening. Yeah. So doesn't mean it's hopeless, but it means that you're going to have to stay diligent and put some effort in for long-term support. So Deb says pick 2. So Kristie's advice about picking two new recipes or 2 new keto dishes to have and learn those to be quick and easy regulars. And Pam's takeaway is that I need to watch your next one. No drama with Kristie. Oh, yes. Okay. So that's so true.
I don't know. Should I have drama?
No, she's having FOMO about not having any drama.
I am. I want to be Kristie. I want to be Kristie Kardashian.
Well, I think you would have to do some things on the internet that you're not. That's not your brand at all. So
no. Sharon says obesogenic. That's a new word for her.
Obesogenic, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Marianne. Encouraging, I'm not alone, costs less than meds and doctors. So true. Such a good perspective. Kathy agrees, no drama. Sorry to disappoint you, Kristie. Valerie, thanks for all the great perspective. Thanks for being here, Valerie.
Yeah.
Pam, no bad drama, just good drama. Yeah.
Good trouble. But, I want to go back to somebody made the point about, cost less than doctors and medications. And it's so true. And, think about what I've spent over the years, for pill plan patient. And I have to say, because you were one of the people, Carol, when I shared, hey, I've got this dream, I've got this vision, I want to do this cooking community. And you're like, girlfriend, you're not charging enough. And I've always felt kind of guilty about that. Like, thank you, Cindy. I've always felt really guilty about like charging people like this should be free. But one of the things that I've learned is that we value what we pay for to some extent. And that part of charging people is making them show up.
Yeah.
making them commit and show up. Because, if I pay, $5 for a movie, I may or may not even log in to watch it. But if I pay $25, right, when I rent it on Amazon, I'm going to sit and watch my movie. I might watch it twice because I paid $25 for that. But it's true. And that's something I learned from other people who are creating courses and memberships, and they're like, charge enough that people value it and will show up. And I think that's so important. And it broke my heart. Like in the first 3 weeks of my founding members, I had people who had not logged in. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? You paid for this. Like, come on. Where are you? Show up for me, show up for you. And I absolutely think that's so true. And I think we do. And yeah, so I do think that people need to pay for it because we have that investment, literally skin in the game.
Yeah. Because how many of you watching right now have downloaded a free meal plan off the internet and never made anything from it?
Yep.
And how, when you invest in yourself, that you actually take it seriously, you value it more, and you'll show up for it. So Valerie's big takeaway is that making a mistake doesn't mean that you throw in the towel and quit. Prepare, think about what went wrong, and start again. Yeah, I love Kristie's analogy of, like, on the quiz, if you got something wrong, study that because you're going to need to know that again later. So Angelique, my whole family loves Kristie's recipes. Have yet to make a recipe we don't like. I also love the cooking community. It's worth every penny. Yes.
Thank you. Angelique is a superstar.
Well, and you deserve to be paid. Like, you quit your full-time job to do this, and you have a valuable thing that you're teaching people. And I know that as women, a lot of times we have a hard time with, like, oh, I should just do this because I love it and it's so helpful to everybody. But the analogy, right? Like, so let's imagine you needed a very specialized surgery. Let's say your elbow blew out and you wanted to get the best elbow surgeon in the country. Would you go to the one that had a full-time job on the side working at Safeway or a grocery store, and then he did free surgery on the side? Or would you go to the one that charged a lot of money and was the best, like put everything he had into elbows because he could devote everything and he didn't have to go work another full-time job on the side? So expertise.
It's true. It's true, but I think part of the guilt of like charging is that I'm having so much fun. And you probably, I mean, seriously, I'm having so much fun. Like, who gets to do what I do? Like, like yesterday, I spent like 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours photographing food. I'm photographing kimchi. I'm like, that's not a bad gig, because after you photograph it, you get to eat it. Homemade kimchi. And we're going to do a class on kimchi. I have a lady who teaches Korean classes who's coming in to work with me to teach kimchi. I'm so excited. I've got to figure it out. Our schedule's packed. But like I said, part is the guilt that I'm having so much fun. And there's also a layer of accountability for me too. And so I get, it's like anything, you get as much as you give sometimes when you're doing this kind of work.
Well, I think that's why people love you so much, is because you're being authentic and you're doing your passion, like you're living your passion, and it comes through. So Jean's saying everything you said was true. I love this. So interesting. Kristie has taught us not to worry about the scales, but how you're feeling and how your clothes feel. She's went up and beyond fixing food we can still have, but in the keto ways. So thank you for sharing that, Jean. Well, I think that thank you everyone for sharing. Keep, you can keep commenting your aha, your takeaway, whatever was most insightful, valuable for you here. So Kathy's saying thank you for your insights and camaraderie. Excellent. Yes, you're all part of the community. Everybody is. We got to support each other and being people out here doing things that are different than a lot of the people. But it's worth it, right? It's worth it. You're welcome, Linda. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Come back in again next week. Typically, we're live. You can participate live most Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern, YouTube and Facebook. But also, you can listen to all the past episodes. So again, this is episode number 22. So I've got 21 other episodes that anywhere that you listen to your podcast episodes, you can find Keto Chat live there. So, And, again, charting number 19 in Poland. Whoever was it, Sharon, I think that got the question correct. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Kristie, for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it. And I love.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for having me along. This was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Excellent. I'll keep putting up everybody's comments here. Thank you guys for watching. Come back again soon. One of our taglines for the show is, remember, if you help us grow, we'll help you shrink. So share with your friends and invite and come back, and we'll see you all again next episode. So
all right. Thank you, Carol.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Okay.